Alright, so in this video we're going to be doing some more on JavaScript. In the last one we were covering ES6, some syntax in it. So we were doing destructuring, object properties, symbol, template strings, arrow functions. So that was all in the last video. If you want to give that a watch, it'll be up on the channel. So now we're going to have a look on the next video, which will be advanced functions. So in this video we're going to be doing advanced functions. How this will work is I'll go through the code and explain it as we go along. So thanks. Alright, let's go. Okay, so starting out, we're going to make a function. Now the function first, parentheses, code block. I'm going to declare a variable inside this function called greet. So this is going to be a local variable. It's going to be hi. Then we have a second function second. It's going to have alert greet. Then we're going to have a return second, right? Then we're going to do a variable new func, which is equal to first, calling first. And now if we call new function, we can run that on the console and see what we get. Alright, so we'll reload this page. That's from our last video. New function, we get hi. Very nice. So it's var greet hi, alert greet, func, new func, and then we call it and we get hi. So we'll do that again. Just enter it in, and you see we get hi. Alright, so now in modern JavaScript we can change this up a bit and make it look cleaner. So in modern JavaScript this function above would look like this. So we have const first, which is equal to parentheses arrow functions for ES6, and we'd have curly braces const. So we're declaring a constant variable greet equal to hi with the value of hi. Then we have const second, which is equal to another parentheses, and we need the arrow there. Don't forget the arrow. Oops. And we go here, and then we'll have alert greet. Now we can do return second. And we can do const new func equal to first. Alright, and then we can do new func. And you'll see when we log this, when we do this on the console, we get the same thing. So this is the newer way of writing it. Or we need to refresh. There you go, we get hi, same thing. So that's just the newer way of writing it with ES6. Alright, so next we'll be looking at closures and how they work. Alright, so closures, and what closures basically say is a function ran, the function executed, it's never going to run again to run it again, but it's going to remember, that there are references to those variables. So the child scope always has access to the parent scope. So in closures, the child scope always has access to the parent scope. You're going to want to remember that one. And now we'll do currying. So this is another concept in JavaScript. We have currying, and we'll do some examples now. So const multiply equal to a b parameters, which returns a multiplied by b. And we have const curried multiply equal to a, which returns b, and we can return a multiplied by b. And then if we call curried multiply and then tree. And let's see what the heck this gives us. So this may be a bit confusing, it might take you a while to wrap your head around it, but that's okay, we have plenty of time. So now b returns a by b. Do F12, and we run that again. Alright, I need to refresh some messages. So we get b, which returns a multiplied by b, and this is just opening it up to analyze it. So we have a const curried multiply, a returns b, and b returns a multiply by b. So now what we need to do is go inside that another step. So if we do curried multiply tree, and then we give it another input of 4, so we're giving an input to b. Now let's have a look. Alright, so if you just close that out, we do F12, we run. Multiply this, or I need to reload. There you go, we get 12, because 3 multiplied by 4 is 12. So what happened here was, we gave 3 to a, which returned b, and then we gave 4 to b, so it'll return a, which is 3, multiplied by b, which is 4. Very good. So on to the next one. So we're going to assign the value, we're going to make a constant variable, multiply by 5, and we're going to give it curried multiply 5, and then we'll do compose. I will show you some examples of multiply by 5. So we're going to store this value in here, and then we can call multiply by 5 again and again with the inputs of 10. So if we want to multiply 10 by 5, we can call multiply by 5 10. So let's run that and just enter it here. We'll reload the page. Reload the page. Control V. Multiply by 5. There you go. 10 multiplied by 5. If we do multiply by 5, and then if we call 20, see to give us 100, because 20 multiplied by 5 is 100. Very good. So now if we show you the compose and how that works, so we can do const compose, which is equal to, and now compose is quite complicated, so don't worry if you don't wrap your head around it at first. It'll take a while to get used to it. We have a, then we'd have another arrow, and we'll have f, and then g by a. Right, so then we'll have const sum is equal to num, and we're going to have here return num plus 1, and we can compose sum comma sum. Const sum. Right, let's have a look at this, see what curry is doing, or composing. Oh, we need to define this first. So if we do const compose, get a, f, g, a. Taking it up here in the log, so we have const compose f, g, a, f, g, a. Then we have const sum is equal to number, it's the parameter, returns number plus 1. So then if we call the compose, and we give it sum for 1, comma sum, and it returns to us so if we give it another input here, we give it 5. Now let's see what happens here. If we run, we get 7. So what's happening here is it's going const, it'll go const compose fg, which would be the two inputs, sum and sum, and it'll give us a, which will be giving our input here, which a would be 5, and it'll give us fga, so it'll give us num plus 1, and then another num plus 1 for the sum and sum, because it runs this twice, and we get 7 because it's adding 2 to it. Now that even confuses me a lot of the time as well, so I'd recommend talking through it So you can see like eventually F7 here would evaluate to 7 altogether. So F up here would eventually evaluate to 7 because of the different inputs we're giving you. Alright, so now we're going to have a look at this diagram. So we need to return something from a function. It can either be undefined or a value. We can console.log as many times as we want. So avoiding side effects. We want to make sure the function is pure. We want to keep functional purity. So we want to make sure it returns the same thing each time. So if we had input, we'll do some lines here. If we had input, say 510, we'd run function, then we'd return something from the function, and it can either be undefined or value. So we want our function to be predictable. We don't want our function to just be some black box that we don't understand. So if we do variable a equal to 1, and if we do function b, parentheses, and then we do a equal to 2, it's not returning anything, it's just reassigning the value. Alright, so that's all for this video. Thank you for watching. Comment below any projects you're working on in JavaScript, what you want to do with your coding, or what else you'd like to learn, like maybe Python or scripts or anything like that, like day trading. Be more than happy to make some videos on them. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.